politicians from Pakistan as well as India to see the truth out of the lies. The stage shifted from Delhi to epicenter Islamabad. First it began with Gautam Bambawale, our Indian High Commissioner in Islamabad, driving down to the Pakistan Foreign Office and asking them three things. Give us access, show us the charge sheet, and show us the verdict. For Pakistan, they had nothing. Sartaj Aziz then came out to hold a press conference, and all he could do was waffle stories, pontificate about fair trials in a country where nothing has been shown. The same individual on the center of your screen just a few months ago came out and said that Pakistan did not have sufficient evidence against Kulbhushan Jadhav. Today, he was out trying to concoct everything that could possibly be done to save face for Pakistan. Listen in.
हमने पिछले कुछ महीनों में 13 बार लिखित में कुलभूषण जाधव का कॉन्सुलर एक्सेस मांगा है। आज तक इसका ना कोई जवाब मिला है, ना कॉन्सुलर एक्सेस मिली है।
He sponsored and directed IEDs and grenade attacks in Gwadar and Turbat, directed attacks on the radar station and civilian boats in the sea opposite Jiwani port.
Coming in from India, the Home Minister Rajnath Singh has once again spoken out. Let's quickly listen in. He's again targeted Pakistan for trying to sentence an innocent man.
सारे इफर्ट्स हो रहे हैं और कुलदीप यादव के साथ जस्टिस हो, इसके लिए जिस हद तक जाना होगा भारत सरकार जाएगी।
Pakistan's advisor to Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, Sartaj Aziz, says that the trial against Kulbhushan Jadhav is free and fair. But Pakistan's lies stand exposed with the meeting that Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, Gautam Bambawale, had with Pakistan Foreign Secretary Tahmina Janjua, where the demands were absolutely basic, that India get consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, that the copy of charge sheet against Kulbhushan Jadhav should have been shared with India, and that Pakistan should do that. And why hasn't Pakistan still shared details of the verdict of a military court and the trial that was conducted in absolute secrecy? How can the trial be free and fair if India is still seeking those three basic things and still demanding those three basic things that was must for any Indian national who is in Pakistani custody? Veteran journalist Ratnesh Pandey in New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for NewsX.
Let's open up this conversation. On the broadcast with me, Amarinder Saran, he's a former Indian ASG, joining us from Delhi. Abbas Kazmi, the man who represented Ajmal Kasab in his 2611 trial, joining us from Mumbai. Meher Tarar, senior journalist, joining us via Skype from Pakistan. Mr. Kazmi, let me begin with you, and you help us delineate the differences that you see in this episode that has taken place, sir. You've seen me. Let me begin with you, and you help us delineate the differences that you see in this episode that has taken place, sir. You've seen an individual who's been brought up before a military court, whose charge sheet we don't know about, neither does anyone else in the public domain, whose verdict copy we have no idea about, who Pakistan claims that he was given legal representation. In the context, sir, with the case that you fought, where in a public court, in a civil court, in a public trial of a terrorist, now convicted and then sentenced, the chasm of differences sparks through, sir. Mr. Kazmi.
Yeah, I'm really surprised in the way Kulbhushan Jadhav's trial has been handled. Firstly, people in India, including myself, had not even heard of the name Kulbhushan Jadhav. It's only when he was sentenced to death that, the people were aware of this. Kulbhushan Jadhav, as the military court has sentenced him for spying charges, it's really surprising that Indian government were not approached, and a formal sort of, invitation should have been sent to the Indian government that if they wish to represent or defend their own Indian man, Kulbhushan Jadhav, they could have arranged their own legal defense for the man. Not necessarily Indian lawyers, but even Pakistani lawyers could have been appointed by the government authorities here in India. I am really surprised, the charges have not been shared, the evidence has not been shared, and as far as I know, even the judgment copy has not been provided. So it's totally a sham, it's a farce trial, one can understand. Another thing, I have been told that they have heavily relied on a so-called confession. Now we all know that such confessions are always extracted out of coercion and force. Such confession should not be admissible on such serious charges. And on such charges, it is really surprising that the death sentence has been imposed. This is pathetic, which probably, as far as Kasab is concerned, when Kasab was arrested, the Indian judiciary and the Indian... Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, sir. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello? Hello? Yeah. When Kasab was arrested and he was produced before the court, and when the trial commenced, a formal sort of, invitation has been sent to the Pakistani authorities that if they wish to defend their own man, they are most welcome. But initially, the Pakistani government disowned Kasab. They, in fact, say that Kasab is not a Pakistani national. This went on for a long, long time, and at the fag end of the trial, they admitted that Kasab was a Pakistani. So we had given them an entire fair chance, and our judiciary has appointed fairly advocate, of course. I was appointed to conduct the trial. So as far as India is concerned, we had, as a just country, as a country who loves judiciary and all those things, we had given a fair and a very fair trial to Kasab, whereas Kulbhushan Jadhav trial seems to be a farce, it's a sham, and we can't understand how can the death sentence be imposed on such charges.
Okay, stay with me. You set it up very clearly, sir. Meher Tarar is with us.
Hello.
And she'll be listening in via Skype from Pakistan. Meher Tarar, there has been a debate in your country, sir, about the about the reinstatement of these military courts. There has been a very detailed discussion that has gone on within the country of Pakistan on whether military courts should be meting out justice at all. Don't you find it strange, madam, that we have sitting with us on public television here in India the man who openly in a public civil court trial represented an individual, Ajmal Kasab, who was caught with a gun in his hand in a terrorism case of 26/11, and here you have no charge sheet, no idea, no access, no verdict. Why not?
All I can say about this case is that yes, I do agree with most of the points you just made, and I even tweeted about it the first day.
Okay, I've lost. Okay, go ahead. Meher Tarar, go ahead.
I don't know the technicalities. I don't know how military courts work. I don't know how fields, what is it called, FCMG, I don't know, field something, whatever this, field court-martial has been titled. I don't know the technicalities of that. I don't doubt that a person was arrested by this name and he is in the custody of Pakistan military and the case has been made against him. But yes, right from the time it was made public, I have been among the few who said it on Twitter that yes, things should be made public. He should have been given consular, your embassy should have been given access to him.
So why do you think it's not happening? Meher Tarar, you've been in the thick of understanding Pakistan for most of your adult life. Why do you think it's not happening? What's the point to prove here? If evidence exists, why not go to the people of Pakistan and show them the evidence?
Honestly, there is so much there. I mean, between our two countries, there's nothing but suspicion and mistrust, and both sides can't really be blamed for not trusting the other side. I don't want to go into that. I have always said that a proper mechanism should be formulated. We should be talking to one another. I do believe your demands are justified. I do believe as a Pakistani that this person was arrested. I do believe that he was found in Pakistan. But
Meher Tarar, you'll appreciate, madam, the incredulity.
If I were to be honest to myself, I can't say what he was doing in Pakistan. How can
But he
I
wasn't
be
in
sure
Pakistan, ma'am. That's the thing. You'll appreciate the incredulity, Meher Tarar, that the government in Pakistan insists that individuals that have been proscribed as global terrorists by not us, by the United States, people who have bounties on their heads, like Hafiz Saeed, that there is no evidence against them. There's no evidence against Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi and the others, despite dossier after dossier that's been publicly shared. And yet some evidence has been found against Jadhav which can't be publicly shared. It's
Look,
incredible.
honestly, all I know about this case is that this man was arrested and he had 2 passports and he confessed, and all of us saw this video. I don't really believe in any kind of videos shown in your country or in mine or in the US or anywhere in the world. I don't really believe that a video that is shown to public is always the truth. I don't believe that. But on the other hand, yes, as I said, I do believe as a Pakistani that this person was arrested here. But yes,
Okay.
I do, as somebody who believes in humanity, I do believe it's very unfair to just announce one day that this
To
person
just
is
announce
going
it.
to be hanged.
And something very fair is being demanded. And something very fair is being demanded. The
more
Indian
information.
Council, the Indian envoy in Islamabad has said 3 things today. Give us access, show us the charge sheet,
Yes.
and show us the verdict copy. Let me invite Amrinder Saran,
I
former
think
ASG
these are
in
all
India
fair
here,
demands.
into the conversation. Amrinder Saran, that is the epitome of reasonableness. When truth breaks through from the lies. If there is a charge sheet, let us see it, so we can respond to it, and a defense team can be put together to respond to it. If there is a verdict that has to be appealed or a mercy petition has to be filed, which is what Pakistan says can be done, there has to be a verdict copy, there has to be access. These are basics, Mr. Saran.
Correct. I think this is travesty of justice. The man has not been tried in accordance with law. He has not been provided a lawyer. There has been no arguments on his side. We don't know what are the charges against him. Instead of being tried before a court, he was being tried before a military court, and I don't know under what provision of law. And there's nothing clear. It's absolutely, palm tree justice. First you exclude the man and then you hold the trial. What kind of trial is this, where there are no lawyers, no evidence, and no cross-examination? It offends all canons of propriety and justice. And look at the treatment we meted out to Kasab, as my colleague was rightly saying. He was not only provided complete access. In fact, in the Supreme Court, a former ASG, a dear friend of mine and one of the top lawyers of this country, Mr. Raju Ramchandran, was appointed as amicus, and he argued for 2 days to save him. So, look at the fairness of our system and contrast it with the system in Pakistan. It appears there is no rule of law.
So what do we do, sir? What do we do,
There
Amrinder
absolutely
Saran?
no rule
Amrinder
of law in
Saran,
Pakistan.
for a country that says this is our law, our rule of law. We have military courts. We made a decision that this is going to be a military court. Some tall statements have been made by Sartaj Aziz, and I'm going to take you through them one by one. Rule of law. We have military courts. We made a decision that this is going to be a military court. Some tall statements have been made by Sartaj Aziz, and I'm going to take you through them one by one, sir. Sartaj Aziz says today that Kulbhushan Jadhav was given the right to cross-examine witnesses in this military court. That a man who's being tortured for 1 year was somehow given the ability to stand himself and cross-examine some witnesses. Now what these witnesses are, who these witnesses are, we don't know. It's bonkers, Mr. Saran.
And not only that, whether he has the expertise to cross-examine. Cross-examination is an art. It can't be done by anybody. Cross-examination must be done by a trained lawyer.
Okay, do you buy it? Do you buy it? Mr. Kazmi, do you buy this? This Sartaj Aziz, and I'm going to pull out some of those sound bites of Sartaj Aziz and play them out for you again. All the claims
Yes,
that
of
have been
course,
made,
of
that the
course.
law of evidence was used, that cross-examination chances were being given.
Mr. Saran,
Mr. Kazmi.
yes, of course, what Mr. Saran is saying is absolutely right. I mean, a thorough opportunity should have been given to Kulbhushan Kharbanda. And not only, he is a layman, he cannot cross-examine. A very competent lawyer should have been given in such serious cases. And of course, formal invitation should have been sent to the Indian government that if they wish to represent Kulbhushan Jadhav, I mean not
Okay.
Karmanda, then
Okay, so let's come down to the nub of it before I go back to Meher Tarar. Let's come back to the nub of it. Mr. Kazmi, why would it not be done? Why would a government not do this? One would presume it's because they don't have a case. That they won't go public, they won't show the charge sheet, perhaps they don't even have one. Mr.
Yeah,
Kazmi.
I mean, you can see the secrecy and the urgency which they have. See, the 2008 cases, the 2611 cases, Lakhvi is still being tried. The entire team is still being tried and the trial is still not over. Whereas Kulbhushan was arrested in March 2016 and within 1 year his trial is concluded and he is sentenced to death. This is really shocking.
Would it be reasonable, Mr. Saran, would it be reasonable, Mr. Saran, for India to expect the same expediency in bona fide terror cases where mountains of evidence exist in the public domain, is being broadcast on television channels such as ours, sir? Mr. Saran?
Yes, it shows the duplicity of the system. It shows the duplicity of the government. And I firmly believe that there is no scope for rule of law. In fact, they have outstanding Supreme Court judges. One of the Supreme Court judges, tried that case where a person was, the governor was killed for hearsay. And if it was tried by the Pakistani courts, it was properly done with lawyers assisting, I would have believed. But then there is nothing.
Okay, and that's
No
the problem.
evidence, nothing.
Meher
We
Tarar,
don't know what is the evidence.
Meher Tarar, where do we take it from here?
Whether there was a
Because the
charge sheet.
conspiracy theorists will tell you all sorts of things, that this is some plot to deflect attention, that this is an issue to force the hand of the Indian government onto the bilateral talks table. Why is one man's life being turned into geopolitics, Meher Tarar?
I'm sorry, my dog has just walked into my room. Darwaza band kar dena. I'm sorry. Look, as I said, I have a problem with the way this thing has been done. I do believe that there should have been transparency. As I said, as a Pakistani, I'm not doubting the charges against him, but yes, I do believe what your government has asked for, what the embassy has asked for, what the High Commissioner has asked for, and what all of you are asking for is completely and absolutely legitimate, and all of that should have been provided and should be provided.
Okay, so we live in hope.
I do.
We live in hope it will be done, that this man will be given access, because unlike Kasab, we are saying that he is an Indian, he was kidnapped and put into this position, and we want to defend him.
Point before my dog starts to bark again, all I want to say is that no matter who the person is, no matter what the charges are, wherever he's tried in the world, he or she, everybody deserves a fair
And something
trial.
smells off. And if Meher Tarar, if people in Pakistan, and you're one of the more reasonable people we've been talking to, but if people in Pakistan don't see this as something as smelling off, that is equally disturbing. I'm running short of time. I want to go back to Mr. Kazmi and Mr. Saran for rounding comments. Mr. Kazmi, what would be reasonable that should happen next? What should happen? What should Pakistan government do and allow now?
See, first and foremost, first and foremost, there should have been a transparency. Now, realize this, that for the Kasab trial, we were so transparent that we had given the opportunity to the entire Pakistani team, comprising of their lawyers and eminent jurists, to come to India and question our witnesses. One of our magistrates who has recorded the confession, the access was given to the Pakistani team to meet and interview and question all of them. This was the transparency shown by us in the Kasab trial. Whereas, for this Kulbhushan Jadhav trial, we are not even aware, not a single Indian was aware.
I think the verdict is clear, at least when it comes to the rule of law, Mr. Kazmi.
It's a lawyer for him to defend him.
Yeah, the verdict is clear, sir. I don't think there can be, in a country that spent most of its time under the military boot, there can be any comparison on the civilizational, moral and legal weight of India versus Pakistan. But Mr. Saran, in cases like this, high profile, that get caught up not only in politics, but international affairs, diplomacy, geopolitics, how can a legal mind see a way through?
I think the practical course of action is now that appeal is to be preferred in the Supreme Court of Pakistan. And Supreme Court of Pakistan has very excellent judges. We have respect for them. We should have a good lawyer who should go through the papers and argue it properly. The Pakistan bar has a number of outstanding lawyers. One of them should be engaged by the government of India to defend Kulbhushan Jadhav.
Imagine the humiliation.
And Kulbhushan Jadhav's case must be put in right perspective.
Imagine the humiliation, sir, that Pakistan will have to go through if their own Supreme Court overturns this verdict after doing so much lying and shamming on it. Gentlemen, Mr. Kazmi, for putting out the legal differences for us.
It appears it is quite probable, it's quite possible.
Yes, for putting out the legal differences for us from Hair Tarar, for at least understanding the incredulity in India, if nothing can indeed change in Pakistan. Thank you very much. We pick up this conversation once again at the top of 8:30 tonight on Insight, where we are exposing Pakistan's duplicity before the world. Come back and join that conversation in depth in just over an hour from now, right here on